Hello, Legionnaires, and welcome to some Rando RPG livestream. Tonight, our panel of Dungeon Masters, Game Masters, referees, storytellers, and players will share their diverse tabletop role-playing game experiences to provide ideas, suggestions, and possibly even some advice for your tabletop RPG sessions. Let's get started. All right, welcome to some Rando RPG livestream. I am John Maxley-Auschlow, your host, and I'm truly grateful you are with us for tonight's live stream discussion on solo role-playing games, and I sincerely hope you enjoy the conversation. So, what do we do here on some Rando RPG livestream? Well, in segments 1 through 4, we discuss topics surrounding the tabletop role-playing game hobby with an emphasis on individual experiences, desires, and expectations. In tonight's 4 segments on solo role-playing games, we hope to provide you ideas, suggestions, and food for thought for your tabletop RPG sessions. In segment 5, we let down our hair and just talk about nerd issues of interest, and if we meet the giveaway threshold, segment 5 is when we will determine the winner. Please consider supporting Legion Myth through the links in live stream's description. YouTube takes 30%, Twitch takes 50, 55, 7. I don't even know what it is anymore. They take all of it. I don't even see Twitch money anymore. It's just out. It's just gone of your hard-earned money. While Rumble, PayPal, Streamlabs, and Ko-Fi take between 0 and 5% of your donation. As always, Rumble rants and super chats less than $20 I will read at the end of each segment. $20 or more, I will interrupt the segment to read your rant or chat as immediately as I can. And $50 or more, I will take a drink in your name. And you can force the panel to answer any tabletop RPG related question of your choice right then and there. If we make $100 or more in super chats or Rumble rants, there will be a $50 Palladium Books or drive-through RPG gift card giveaway during segment 5 towards the end of the live stream. Legion Myth YouTube members, as well as tonight's super chatters and Rumble ranters, have the opportunity to win, but you must be watching at the time of the giveaway to claim your victory, else it rolls over to next week. So everybody's trying to play with the subscribe. Kilroy that thing. Kilroy! Don't forget that Legion Myth moderators will time out or even ban people who attack any panelist or chatter. Attack the argument, not the person, and keep your various social media beefs off of my show. And oh my God, is everybody beefing right now? But whatever, I don't even know anymore. Just keep that stuff over on your X, Twitter, Reddits, and so forth. Not here.
Blue Sky or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, Blue Sky. Yeah, if you're doing the politics thing, please like this video. Subscribe to all the panelists' channels, which you cannot find in the description because I was too lazy to put them there. I will get them there in a little bit. If they put them in private chat, it will make my life a lot easier. And then, well, if you're watching this later, if you're watching this on video, they're there. Oh my God, it's weird. And thank you for your time and support. And as normal, it is now time that all that is out of the way. Let us introduce our guests. You've never seen any of these folks here before, ever previously. They're all first-timers on the show. So first we have Bear.
Actually, no, in honor of you not getting basic expert tonight, I'm changing my name to Companion Master.
Companion Master?
For tonight.
Yeah. Got it. I see what you did
Companion
there.
Master. No, I'm Bear the 10X GM. I'm in a wacky mood because I got to win you guys over now because once the topic starts, you're going to fucking hate me. So, you know.
Well, you know the deal. You already said who you are, but what content or products do you create, and what is your tabletop RPG experience?
I am a content creator here on YouTube. I have a very active Patreon. I also publish my own games, including Heroic, which will be coming out in 2025, and Final Age, which is going to now be my BX clone. That's right. I'm going to have one too. Because I figured, it's like Oprah. You get a BX clone, you get a BX clone, we all get a BX clone. I'm looking forward to Cody's, actually. And that's that. And I've been kicking the dice since 1985.
Sweet. And below him, we have GM Cody. Who are you? What content or products do you create? And what is your tabletop RPG experience?
Yes, I'm GM Cody. I have a small channel where I sometimes do stuff. I haven't been doing much on there lately other than live streaming games. With various folks. That's usually what you'll find me doing, or just shooting a show with somebody. I've been playing role-playing games since the mid-'90s, so almost 30 years now. And
the TTRPG golden age.
It was the golden age to me, yes. But other than that, yeah, that's pretty much my experience. I've played a multitude of different role-playing games, board games, war games, all that stuff. I'm just a gamer. I just love games. And love talking about them. So
you'd probably love where I work then. I work in wargaming. All right, and Malachi back again. Oh wait, I said everybody's first time here ever. That's right. I lied. Dang it! I caught in a lie already. We haven't started the show. Who are you? What content or products do you create? And what is your tabletop RPG experience?
I'm Malachi. I got my blog that I have not done anything with in too long, called Malachi's Negaversal Musings. I've been into the hobby since the early 90s.
Awesome. If you guys could, when you have a moment, if you can put your links to your channel in the private chat, I will get those in the description for folks because I do want them to follow you, subscribe to you, whether you want them to, Bear, or not.
How am I not on speed dial for you yet? Come on.
You know, because when I assume that, what ends up happening is it's not there.
You make an ass out of yourself.
There.
Where was the basic expert? Couldn't we have replaced him with Malachi?
No, replace him with me. I'm expertly basic.
All right. So, our 4 topics for today, our 4 videos for today are going to be on solo role-playing games. And I know this is going to bring up some emotions with people and some thought processes. We're just going to start off. We're going to start off with Bear because he's in the upper corner there. So first question.
Started early.
Let's get the hate started early. So this first segment is all on an introduction to solo role-playing games. So introduce us to it by telling us what is a solo role-playing game?
I believe the unofficial term for it is nerf herding.
I'm going to get on my +1 hoodie real quick.
Wait. Unofficial term or nerd term?
Nerd term. I honestly, as far as I can tell, it's a mix of 2 things. It's either testing systems out and testing out mechanics, or it's I'm bored and no one wants to talk to me, so I could play a video game, which would be a amazing spectacle of light and energy and music and talent coming towards me, or I'm gonna roll a random dungeon and take my character through it, which just seems like a colossal waste of time to me. But hey, so as far as I know, that's what. So I prove me wrong, please, because that's what I think solo role playing is.
So what type of players do you think might be drawn to solo RPGs over traditional group play?
So you're just setting me up, right? You're just like, going, here's a soft serve, knock it out of the park, Bear. Go ahead. Here's a soft one. As near as I can tell, it's people who don't enjoy video games, movies, listening to music, spending time alone in their own head, or going out. I don't know. I honestly don't know who's into solo role playing. And yes, Crafty already said it could be either testing stuff, or it could be prep. That would include testing, or it's nerf herding. But either way, taint for me. I'm clearly the con on this one.
Which is good. No. And see, so folks that are out there, you know, hopefully they do get emotional. Hopefully they do get angry over what people here say. Again, keep it clean. But that's the idea of the show. And hopefully in 2025, we do an even better job of that, as we want people with differing opinions on here. So we're going to have people with differing opinions. And I think that's important for this, to help you guys understand, or maybe even clarify your stance better. So let's move down to GM Cody for a moment here and just ask that simple question again. What is a solo role-playing game?
Well, solo role-playing, I think, has evolved a little bit over the years. So I used to do it when I was a kid, especially because I didn't have a lot of people to play role-playing games with. And I was just interested in knowing how to play the game, or just wanting to experience the game and not having people to play with, right? So that's how I started doing that as a kid. But, you know, we all did that when we were a kid, playing like, you know, imagination time outside and stuff. You know, you would play by yourself with a sword outside or a gun and act like you were, you know, when none of your friends were around, or at least I did. I don't know if everybody else did. But, you know, it's kind of the same thing with role-playing games. Now, I think it's evolved a little bit, the idea of it, because, yeah, like Bear said, back in the day, it was more of just, you know, everybody would do, I think, you know, solo dungeon crawls out of the back of the first edition DMG. I know I did. Stuff like that. Or you would do like game books, right? Which I consider solo role-playing games too. And there's some more advanced ones that came along, like, you know, Lone Wolf and the Quest series, which I think is actually fantastic back there. And, you know, a lot of role-playing games, also like Tunnels and Trolls, created a bunch of, you know, solo role-playing game modules. So you could, but they were basically choose your own adventure modules. And then you would, you know, you'd make some die rolls when you had to. But essentially it was a choose your own adventure book. with a few exceptions. There's some that are a little bit more advanced, like I said. But nowadays, I think it's evolved a little bit where people are, you have whole like companions and stuff to play solo role-playing game. And it's this new concept of solo role-playing game is something that's foreign to me. I really didn't think about playing role-playing games in the more like traditional light in that way. And they have like tables and oracles that tell you yes or no. And, you're really role-playing and making decisions stuff, which is really interesting. Not something I ever did until last night, actually, because I was like, I want to do this because I've never played solo role-playing games in this approach. So I sat down, made some characters. And
which one did you pick?
I picked Dragonbane because it actually has a solo supplement in there.
Okay.
And then I used some other random tables, and I was like, okay, I'm going to use the map from like the Misty Vale, and I'm going to act like I'm doing this, and then I'm going to go along and okay, what happens here? And then I'm like, okay, I meet an NPC, and then I'm like, okay, how would these characters interact with that NPC? And I was trying to put myself in the mindset of like what I think is modern solo role playing, and it's an interesting thing. I like playing games solo, like war games and board games and stuff. I do that all the time, and it's not because like I enjoy using my mind, and that's another way to use my mind is playing games solo. Role playing games solo is an interesting concept. So I would say I'm kind of like in the middle here, right? I'm the middle guy. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't completely understand all of it, but I have definitely experienced it in the past. So,
okay. How does a solo RPG differ, other than the obvious, differ from traditional group-based RPGs?
It's going to differ a whole lot, in my opinion. I think it misses a lot of the best aspects of role playing, which is the social aspect. To me personally, that's the best aspect of role playing games is interacting not just with the game master, but with all the other players, and that's what makes a role playing game interesting beyond playing, just a board game or whatever. I could just play Warhammer Quest, but I'm not going to get the same experience playing Dungeons and Dragons with my friends around a table and not knowing what's going to happen, all the crazy interactions this guy's going to do, that guy's going to do, and are bouncing back and forth with the game master compared to just a bunch of random charts and tables. And yeah, you're going to get a little bit of, you could still get a little bit of that in your own head, but it's still not the same thing playing around a group of people that are all have different personalities and different ways to approach things and different mindsets of how to approach the game, the system, how to role play and everything. So I think that's the biggest aspect for me. It's the social interaction. I think it's, to me personally, it's my favorite aspect of role playing games that would be missing from it.
Okay. Malachi, same question for you. What is a solo role playing game?
For me, it's usually you take your basic game, like say Dungeons and Dragons, Hyperborea, Savage Worlds. You get yourself an Oracle to act as your GM, get a bunch of random tables, and you start asking questions. It starts spitting, giving you answers, and you just create as you go.
Okay. What are some key elements that define a successful solo RPG experience? So it's not about the game itself, it's about the experience. Like, how do you sit there and know that you had a good time other than the fact that, you pretend you had a good time?
Well, I think it's the surprises that come along with the dice rolls. And, connecting your rolls on the random table to what is going on in your imagination in the game, connecting them, creating what's happening next.
Okay. All right. On the specific question of what is a solo RPG, do you guys have any things you want to address each other on? Like, are we agreed pretty much across the board with the definition, or is there something you guys need clarified?
I think we're
with each other.
We had slight variations, but it's pretty much, I think we all know what the definition is going to be of what, solo role playing is. Okay.
All right, then. We'll get ready to jump into the second question here in just a moment. But I have one chat that I started. Was it one or two? Oh, we have a super chat for $5. Law Dog says, thank you very much for the $5. Everyone subscribe to GM Cody. Let's get him monetized. I started adding their stuff to the description. I haven't saved it yet, but I'll get that saved in a second. And you can subscribe to everybody. You need to do that. Thank you very much for the $5. Law Dog. And then Beat Magnet asked a question. So solo role playing is not one GM, one player. It's just one person. Correct. One-on-one. I think somebody put it in chat too. Is usually we just call it one-on-one. But you may have called it something else. But yes, solo role playing is you, some dice, and a book and some paper. And that is it. So, all right. I'm just going to be open about this. I don't agree with any of you guys' definitions of what solo role playing is, but we'll discuss that later on in the in the show. And people are going to be like, "Wait, what? What do you?" Nope. I'll get to it later in the show because I'm going to jade things if I start talking my opinion on this stuff now. So, second question. Moving on. Already, we're Timothy Ferrelli has my actually, and so did Violence Solves Everything, has my sentiment exactly. But moving on here. So starting with GM Cody, we're still in this first segment here of basically what is solo role playing, an introduction to it. Why would somebody choose to play a solo RPG instead of a traditional group RPG?
Well, I think there's many reasons. I would usually do something like that if I didn't have somebody to play with. That would be the number one reason. I mean, the reason I play any game solo, which again, I stated I do, would be because I can't find anybody else to play that particular game. So it might be you live in a remote area or whatever. You just don't have time. Maybe you work a long schedule, a weird shift or something. You can't find time or can't find people to play with. That seems to me would probably be the number one reason why people would play solo. Number two, it might just be, and this kind of ties into my number one, is you might just have extreme social anxiety. I've met many people that we've played one-on-one, not necessarily solo, and I'm like, hey, you should come play with our group. And they're like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm afraid I'm going to screw things up, blah, blah, blah. So there are a lot of people that have social anxiety and might not feel comfortable in a social setting, which I will say, I think role-playing games are really apt in helping that, or at least I thought so. So that, to me, that seems like the number one reason. Number two, or number three, I think some people just want to maybe, like Bear said, experiment with a new game system or try new ideas out. And that might be another reason why you're doing it. Maybe you're a game master trying out, an adventure or adventures, or maybe you're a designer trying out a new rule set. I've done that many times, making homebrewed rule sets where I'm trying it out for myself. And I do some solo role playing interactions and think about, oh, what would this person do? What would that person do? Et cetera, et cetera. The other person is maybe you just don't like people. Maybe you just don't like that. Maybe you just, purely just don't like the social aspect of role-playing games, but like the mechanics of it, like the idea of it, and just want to play imagination in your head and, create your own little worlds in your head and do all that stuff, draw maps and go through adventures and make characters, and you like the mechanics and rules of it, but you don't necessarily, and you could play a video game, but I think you still have a lot more freedom in a role-playing game, right? You can do whatever you want. I don't have to worry about the rules of the video game. I can create my own world. I can create my own setting. I can, we all know that the boundaries of a role-playing game are not nearly as limited as a video game. So I don't think that's a great answer that you could just go play a video game. So yeah, that's kind of my opinion. I think most of it probably has to do with some kind of social aspect. Either they have anxiety, they can't find people, or what have you. I think that's probably, I would assume, is the number one reason, because it's usually the number one reason for me why I'm playing a game by myself.
So what challenges or limitation do solo RPGs overcome compared to group play?
Repeat the question. I'm sorry.
What challenges or limitations do solo RPGs overcome? So what would be a challenge of a normal group session that solo RPGs overcome that somehow?
Oh, well, the obvious one, again, would be other people, because you're gonna, we've all had those people that have spoiled the game, right? Especially back in the day when, like, I've talked about this many times, that back in the day we just played with whoever, because there weren't that many people that were even interested in playing. So anybody that was interested was like, yeah, come on. It didn't matter how toxic they were or who they were. We just dealt with it.
Yes, somebody else was at the table. Thank you.
Because I mean, like, that's just the way it was. And I'm not that old, so it's, you know, even when I got started in gaming, there just weren't that many people that were gamers in my area. So it was like whoever it was like, oh shit, you like D&D too? You like this stuff? Come on, man, like, come join our group. And we had a lot of people, at least, and it seems like everybody did, always had quite a few people in their past that you know, were troublesome players. Nowadays, I think, you know, it's a little bit better because role-playing games in general are a little bit more mainstream, and you encounter a lot more normal people. You know, people that are a little more maybe, I don't know. But I also think people, once you become more experienced as a gamer, you become a lot more aware of vetting players and stuff. I know I do. I don't just let anybody into my game sessions, but that's a whole nother topic for discussion.
Right.
But I think that might have something to do with it. I think that's probably one advantage, is you don't have to deal with shitty people. You know, but there are ways around dealing with shitty people. Other than that, I really can't see the advantages of playing solo. I don't really see why you would do that, because, like, to me personally, I think you're missing out on some of the best aspects of role-playing games. Because when you're playing with a good group that gets along with really cool people with great personalities, and you have a great game master, it's like one of the best experiences you can have, right? So yeah, that's my 2 cents about it.
Okay. Malachi, why would someone like you choose to play a solo RPG instead of a traditional group RPG?
I think Cody hit a couple good points, you know, especially with the not being able to find players, and, you know, and the flakiness of people nowadays. You know, they, oh yeah, I'll be there, and then a couple hours beforehand, oh, can't make it. But I think, like Alexander McCree says, role-playing games are intramural sport. In a way, I look at solo role-playing as your batting practice or your simulated games in professional baseball. It's practice. It's to keep your mind sharp, keep your imagination ready to go for when you actually get to the table.
Okay. So actually, I had a question I wanted to add here. So how do solo RPGs encourage creativity or exploration in ways that group RPGs might not?
You know, I think creativity-wise, I mean, you got your end of, for me anyway, I would have my random tables, and, you know, that's what would push my creativity the most, you know, rolling something and making myself keep whatever I roll rather than maybe re-rolling, and trying to work with that. And exploration, what do you mean by exploration first?
Well, how can you explore the game, the concepts, your imagination, whatever,
Okay.
however you want to use the term? It's intentionally vague in ways that being in a group setting might not.
I think one way is exploring the rules. I think you could try out, purposely set it up so you can interact with certain rules easier by yourself than in a group. Because I have seen a lot of people say, well, this happens in 5e, and my limited experience, I was like, well, this never really happened for me. But maybe it's because I haven't had the group that went to that point in the rules to cause what everybody complains about happen. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I know it's kind of roundabout answer, but I'm trying to think. Like, everybody says, oh, 5e is not deadly. You kidding me? What was the Temple of Elemental Evil? I ran just the moat house. Part of it, I almost killed a party of like 4 first level adventurers, like that, because it was all ghouls.
Yeah, but saying that 5e is not deadly, and this is a bit off topic here, but saying that 5e is not deadly isn't necessarily about how many hit points somebody has, or how much damage a sword does, or what monsters can do. It's the 9,016 different ways you have of recovering that single one little tiny hit point you need in order to not be dead.
Yeah, well, the
3 death saves, a bard can just sing a tune from 60 feet away, and you come that kind of nonsense. Yeah.
The guy was had 2 failed death saves, no successes, and there was no bard.
Okay, but that's anecdotal. Like I'm talking
that's
about rules.
What I mean. I think that a lot of stuff in rules that people complain about, it tends to be on the whole anecdotal that you can find ways to go, oh, actually, if you go this way, this happens. I think solo gaming is a way
Sure, and
to
if you
force
run
that.
an entire group of just 4 or 5, 6 fighters and have no healing at all, I mean, again, that's not the standard. Or if you look at the rules of the game, that's not. I don't want to say it's not normal because every group is different, but you get what I'm saying. Like there are so many options in there to make sure that you can be healed as long as you somehow escape that fight or move it away from you to where the bard can go from a mile away. So again, it's not I don't think, at least correct me if I'm wrong, but again, it's kind of off topic, is it's not about the fact that you can't be killed. It's that the mechanics you have to do in order to kill somebody and all the recoveries you have from that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we could keep going.
Okay, yeah, but we're talking about solo gaming now, or solo role playing. So, Bear.
Yeah.
Why would you, because I know you love solo role playing, so why would someone choose to play a solo RPG instead of a traditional group RPG?
Well, I've decided while we're doing this, I fired up ChatGPT and I've asked it to be my DM. And currently, John Prester is in a tavern in a town called Dark Spire, I think, or Dark Pine, and I think he's managed to pick up the waitress and get an adventure at the same time. So doing pretty good. But I don't think that counts as solo RPG. That sounds more one-on-one. I don't. I heard a lot of what the guys said and the whole idea of practicing and keeping your mind sharp. Oh, come on now. What keeps your mind sharp is when you're in a crisis situation with other people who are doing crazy things. If you don't believe me, play with Hungar sometime and see how fast you got to keep your mind sharp. Okay?
Oh my God.
Yeah, you do that, but that's the benefit of playing with other people. So what would appeal to me about playing by myself is very limited, other than I'm testing some mechanics or I want to see how a fight goes. But given that dice are grand randomizers, and the same fight's not going to go the same way twice, I don't ultimately see it as a benefit. I don't see it, or I don't see it as a valid stress test of something. It would be good, and I would use it to test rules, to teach myself a combat system before I'm going to run the game, or if there's something I'm not sure about, try and see if I can figure it out by using it. But I wouldn't sit down and run a session for myself. That said, I'm having a blast doing this ChatGPT adventure. It's quite good. Like I gotta say, like I'm like, damn, this is well done. Like it's making it up as it goes. I'm sure it's digging from 1,000 different sources, but I got a great quest coming, and it's really kind of fun. And it's got some 4D aspect to it for those 4D people, in that I just decided the hooded stranger in the back, I saw a female hand, so now my character knows they're hiding their identity, and we'll see what the chat does with it once I do that. I get it. Like I'm not an ass. I'm a dick. I get it. I understand why people would take this. I understand why people would want to do this. It's not for me. 100% not for me. Anytime I could be solo gaming, I could be writing. Right? I could be prepping. I could be preparing. I could be doing all that kind of stuff. But if I was the type to do miniatures or battle mapping or stuff like that, I could see the benefit, and that would be the appeal of me. But ultimately, I think the only thing I would want to use it for is to learn rules or teach myself a combat. Did that answer your question, or did I go all over the world?
No. That why would someone choose to play a solo RPG instead of traditional group RPG? And play testing, I think, is a legit reason for that. Anything that you guys wanted to follow up with each other on that? I'll read the question again in case you don't remember what somebody answered or whatever. But why would someone choose to play a solo RPG instead of a traditional group RPG? Any back and forth you guys have between what? Like Malachi, do you want to tell Bear why he's wrong about what he said?
No.
Okay.
He's allowed to have his opinion. He's allowed to be
Bear,
wrong.
or not Bear, Malachi. Thanks for letting me know that.
Yeah, listen, Malachi, you best behave in this chat, because we've got Codex Albana coming up in the new year. And
All right. Since these guys don't have anything else, coming up in the next segment is actually going to be about crafting and running a solo RPG. What do you mean crafting a solo RPG? How can you craft it if it's solo? Well, we'll find out here in just a moment. Before I do that, I'm going to read some super chats and chats, but now I'm going to give my opinion. See, I'm actually different than all three of these guys. I'm probably closest to Bear, though. Maybe Cody. It's not solo role playing, and I just you will not convince me. You will never sit here and say, "Hey, I'm playing a solo role playing game." No, you're not, because unless you're talking in your own head in different voices, which you need to go seek mental health, or you're practicing your improv for your next stage, next time you're on stage. I cannot talk. That is not role playing. Role playing requires interaction. And if you're not having the interaction, solo gaming. And I totally approve of solo gaming. And I think what these guys said here for purposes of playtesting, nobody else is around. You just want to see how things, come out. You want to do, I have 4 Against Darkness. I think it is a very small scale style solo RPG solo game. You want to draw some maps and see how long mathematical characters and numbers make it. Great. There's nothing wrong with that. Play the games you want to play them how you want to play them, and so forth. But that's not role playing, and you will never convince me it is. You can make a chat post this long, tell me why it's role playing. It is not role playing without the interactivity. So that's my stance on that. Other than that, I have no issues with it. It is a choose your own adventure book. It's not role playing. It's just not. So. You need to have at least one-on-one would be role-playing. Solo role-playing is not role-playing. And I'll let these guys yell at me about my my comment there if they want before I hit super chats.
Okay. Role-playing. R-O-L-E. That's what we do. It's what we do when we play Codex Albana. It's what we do when we play Cody's Wizards of Shadow City. It's what we do when we play Heroic. Solo role-playing, I feel, Claws and Kittens should be the ROLL playing. Because really, are you going to have hello, good barkeep, how are thee? I'm fine, strange man, why art thou here? You're going to sound like a schizophrenic maniac if you're doing this on your own. So I would say I kind of agree with you on one way, Max, in that it's not really role playing, but it is role playing, if you get what I'm saying.
I would add that, yes, role playing is acting in personality of your character, but it's also doing what you think your character should do. Mm-hmm. So it's not always, you can part of role playing is saying, how would this character react to that situation? Not necessarily how I'm going to act out that situation. So I would disagree a tiny bit, say that you can get a little bit of role playing, solo role playing, because you can say, how is my paladin going to react to this situation? I might not be sitting there talking in voice and everything, or whatever, but I'm still going to try to act like this character is going to act in this situation that's been presented to me, either through an oracle, an AI generator, or something that came from my head, right? So that is still role playing, right?
So when I'm talking in my head, I got to give a briefing later on today, and I'm going to try to think about the questions that somebody might ask me based on the presentation I'm giving here. That's role playing, because that's all that rolling these oracles, and so you're just adding a randomizer to it instead of coming at it with your brain.
No. What I'm saying is that part of the aspect of role playing is doing what that character would do in that situation. So, my thief is going to react differently than what my paladin is going to react, right? This is a very simple.
I understand. I understand where you're going. I just disagree. That goes back to the whole Gygax thing of role assumption versus role playing, and I disagree with it.
Yeah. I'm not saying that that's good role playing, right? I'm not saying that that's how you should role play, but that is an aspect of role playing. Is reacting how your character is going to react to that situation. That is an aspect of role playing. It's not good role playing. That's not how you should do. You shouldn't just be like, my thief backstabs the goblin. That's not good role playing, right? There's other aspects to real role playing in a group situation that you're going to add that's going to really make that interesting and bring that character to life. But I'm saying that is an aspect of role playing, and that's still role playing.
So okay, I guess the one more point that I'll make on this: if I got 4 characters sitting in front of me and I have no game master, I'm rolling on an oracle or whatever, and I jot down some notes. It says, you come around the corner and all of a sudden there are 5 goblins there, and I'm sitting here saying, okay, so my fighter character is going to attack, roll die. My cleric character, he's going to cast protection from evil. Okay, +1. My mage character is going to. that's not role playing. Okay, that's like I guess
no.
if you want to be really really pedantic about it, well, that is a role, and you're playing the role, but that's not what role playing generally means. Otherwise, literally every game you ever play in your entire life is role playing.
Talking about though. That is the most simple aspect of a role playing game is just rolling dice for a combat. What I'm talking about is say you roll on an oracle chart that says you meet a wandering merchant. Okay, who is this wandering merchant? You come up with the details and roll some charts or come up with it, and then you're like, how are each of these characters going to react to this situation? Right. And that is an aspect of role playing. And that's still what you do in a regular role playing session, except you're bringing the character to life. You're doing a little bit more, but it's still role playing, right? It's an aspect of role playing. I'd say it's a quarter of it. It's just a slice. I'm not saying that this is the whole encompassing of role playing because you're missing so many things in a solo role playing game, like I already mentioned before. But I will say that you are still doing, or you can do, I don't know if everybody is doing it, but you definitely can get a little bit of that pie in a solo role-playing session. You're not getting the full pie, that's for sure, because you're not having that social back and forth, which is, to me, the biggest aspect of a role-playing game is that social back and forth, like I started the conversation off with. But you are getting a small slice of that pie still, and that is still an aspect of role-playing that you have to do. You can talk in character all you want, but if you're not playing like that character, you're not role playing, period. Right? You're just not. You can come up with, you can be a great actor and come up with a great voice, and I can dress up and do all this stuff, but that is not purely role playing. You have to, even as an actor, you have to play that character. And if you're not, then you're getting into the point where you're really just playing a board game. You might as well just play Warhammer Quest because it's got great solo rules. But I'm saying I think you can get a small slice of that pie out of a role playing experience. I'm not saying you're going to get all of it because you're not.
Well, I will say this. Maybe you convinced the folks out there. Maybe they all agree. Believe me, chat's not agreeing with me necessarily, but I'm stuck. And yes, it is getting awfully semantic in here, and I'll pop that up here because that to me is the crux of my issue. I like the idea of solo gaming. I agree with everything Cody said earlier. I agree with what Malachi said, and I think either everything or close to everything that Bear said about it. It's just none of that was role playing to me. That was all choose your own adventure or gaming. Solo gaming is great, has many reasons for it. You all can find your own reasons. I was asking the questions, you probably answer your own questions, but you got to get rid of the role play part of it in order for me to accept it. That's just.
But I will add this too. Anytime I've done solo role playing, and I've done it a little bit in different forms, I've never felt the role playing as strongly. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm only getting that small slice, and at the end of the day, I'm thinking a lot more mechanically than I am in my role. When I'm playing a role-playing game around a group, I could give a shit less what the numbers say on the.
Yeah,
I'm going to try to play this character.
No, you're going to stab your eyes out. We got it.
Yeah, exactly.
For those who don't know, you should go watch Bear's Codex Albana sessions. All right, Malachi, Bear, do you want to jump in on that, or can we move on?
I mean, Cody did a pretty good job on that one. I think ultimately, I think you're doing your pedantic thing. I think Cody's doing his see everything from every side thing, and I think Malachi's just going to do something weird because it's Malachi and that's what he does. For me, I'm going to say, call it solo gaming, and I'm much more comfortable with the concept.
No, actually, Cody really hit what was going through my head just now with the role part, the role of your character and the adventure and everything.
Okay. Let's hit some of the chat, and then we will move on to the next question. Already hit that one. All right, so Doc Flamingo says, I like to think of them as analog video games.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair.
That's a way of looking at it. I don't agree.
And you'll probably get a better story than the new Dragon Age.
Totally off topic, and if you're not experienced with this stuff, that's fine. Is a visual novel a game? Bear.
Those Korean things, right? Where they
a lot of them are based on anime or manga or whatever.
The Telltale games.
No, it's a game. It's a game. It's a game.
Cody, is a visual novel a game?
Yeah. It's
all right. Malachi, is a visual novel a game?
It can be. It depends on if you actually have to pick up the controller and do anything while you're going through the visual novel. Like,
All right.
I've played the Telltale games, the Borderlands one. I played
No, Telltale Games. That's not a visual novel.
No?
No, that's not a visual novel. Those I would
Oh.
actually say are games because you actually have to have interactivity and you have to. It's almost like Dirk the Daring. What was it? Forget the name of the game. Back from the 80s. Where you have to tap things in the right direction. Dragon Slayer. Thank you.
The space one.
Yeah.
Okay, then I've never played.
Okay, that's fine.
Visual novel, so I can't have an opinion.
So my best John McLaughlin, wrong. Visual novels are not games. Just because you click left or right or pick her once every half hour just to make sure you haven't fallen asleep yet does not make it a game.
So just to the rest of the panel, are we okay with John deciding how English works moving forward? Is that okay for us? Just curious. Like, I mean, we have to put a stance on this. If you are doing something where your choices will determine the outcome of events and are randomized as such, it's a game, much like life.
Nah.
Maru, are you here? Poison, bleach, more bleach.
Maybe it's been too much bleach. You don't know. Jack McCarthy says, I find solo RPG creativity fulfilling. I prefer it to video games.
Yeah,
I can see that. I had fun doing 4 Against Darkness, even though it's very minimalist compared to what a lot of other solo RPGs are. It was interesting to see how things came out and how many times my characters died and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. I much prefer to sit here and like play a game by myself. I'm not a big video game dude. Like I do like video games, but like I can only spend 30 minutes to an hour with a video game, and I get bored nowadays.
Yeah,
like that. There's a lot of other things I'd rather be doing than playing a video game. And if it comes down to playing a video game or playing, an analog game, I'm probably going to pick an analog game, even if it's playing by myself. But that's just preference, right? So.
All right. Did I miss solo stuff? No, you have made it, sir. I just like the name of the channel, Monsters and Mazes, because they watched, Mazes and Monsters, at work today. So I was like, well, there's a coincidence for you. So welcome. And yes, I have read, if not all, most of all of the other chat that's happened on here. I know most of you disagree with me. It's okay. The vast majority of people tend to be wrong when it comes to reality. It's all right. Where are we next? Lethality, Doc Flamingo says, lethality of 5e comes down to 2 things, the GM's patience and his resilience to dye-induced carpal tunnel syndrome. Wait, what? Dye-induced carpal tunnel syndrome.
Yeah, rolling dice.
Well, I like rolling dice. The 2 ways that I heard to kill a party in 5e is to prevent them from having their rests, and that becomes old after you do that a couple times. Oh, look, we don't get our rests again. Or just to go balls to the wall and, sorry, but, oh, looks like you died. You're too far away. You can't even come back to 1 hit point. Like, just totally outgun them. But I don't play 5e, so I don't have I don't have my own personal experience with that. My 2 times that I played, nobody even came close to dying. Right. Weird Guy for $5. Thank you very much. Says, I have solo adventured a few times. And he's talking in the real world. It's a good way to test drive new RPGs, but I'm weird and own a lot of obscure RPGs that nobody but me likes. You know what? I don't even know if I would go with solo adventure, but I think I'd be more open to that than solo RPG. Again, I'm very pro the idea of solo gaming, especially for this purpose right here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's honestly a ridiculous take, Max. No, it's not. 2 different characters having a conversation in your imagination. Yeah, it's called you're fucking nuts. That's what. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to cuss, but somebody else already did it earlier. That's called you're nuts. That's called writing. Right? And you know what writing isn't? Role playing.
I am him.
And
I think my GI Joes talk to each other.
No, sir, I didn't see you playing with your dolls again.
10 years old anymore in the backyard going, oh, Luke, save me. You'll never save him. Batman, what are you doing here? Like, come on.
And I've been doing it for a while. Look, I get the idea of writing a book and having different characters in your head as you're writing and so forth. But again, I don't consider that role playing. I just don't. Like, oh, I'm going to role play it out. Okay, well, let's have the interaction. If you're doing it in your head, that's masturbating. Sorry. Might feel good, but it's not quite the same.
Mm-hmm.
And look, let's be fair. I already know majority of chat disagrees with me. It's okay, but I haven't been convinced yet. Does the panel think that choose your own adventure books are solo role playing or something else? Let's start with Malachi on this one. Do you think that it's solo role playing, or do you think it's something else?
I think it depends on the book. Your traditional choose your own adventure book, no. But something like, say, fighting fantasy, I think they are, that British Steve Jackson wrote. I could consider those solo role playing. Because there's decisions, there's dice rolling. An RPG is not an RPG without dice rolling.
Do you think that that little mini solo adventure in the beginning of Beck Me is role playing?
Yeah, and the same
Lord.
with the one in the Star Wars RPG.
Okay, we can't be friends. Cody.
I saw this coming at some point.
Yeah, so I kind of agree with Malachi. It depends on the type of book you're talking about. So I've done a lot of these because when I was a kid, I loved choose your own adventure books.
Oh, so did I. Yes.
And I bought all kinds, right? Like I bought there was one, I forget the name of it. You flipped a coin, like you could pick like a wizard and a warrior, and to determine things, you like flipped a coin. So that was great to bring to school because I could but you actually had like a little character sheet in the back. I don't remember how that one worked. I don't even remember the name of it.
The Soul Forge, the original Soul Forge for Dragonlance, you rolled dice in there. If you roll this, you defeat the drow. If you roll that, I still didn't think of it as role playing.
Yeah, and then you had like Lone Wolf. I don't consider those are closer, right, from a traditional choose your own adventure. The only one I've seen, and I'm sure there's others that are a little bit closer, is I have the US version and I have the European version. So Quest. I got this when I was a kid, and in Europe it was called in England it was called Fablelands. Now this is a little bit closer to a real role playing game because you really make a character, and it's not really like a choose your own adventure book. It doesn't it's really interesting. It's hard to explain. I actually play it on my channel, so go watch me play it, and it's a little interesting because I think that's actually probably the best way to do a solo role-playing game because it actually has all these choices and decisions in there, but at the same time, it's like this big open sandbox. Like you can go anywhere, do anything, and it has every book is a different land. Like it's a different province or barony in this huge world. So like if you go to this other kingdom or country, it says go to book 3, go to book 4, whatever, and you're in this whole other place and you travel there and you do whatever you want. And then all of a sudden you might encounter some monsters. You might encounter a quest. You might meet somebody. And when you do something, it tells you to check off certain boxes. So it feels like a real role-playing game. The book is actually kind of your game master, and you're in this huge sandbox and do whatever you want. So to me, like this is probably the best representation of a solo role-playing game. It could definitely be refined because those were made in the 90s at some point, mid 90s, River, but those are really cool. So I think you could get closer to a role-playing experience with adventure games. I think you definitely could do it, but for the most part, I would not call most of them a role-playing game because most of those choose your own adventure books, you're not really putting yourself into a different role. You're not role-playing, you're yourself typically, right? And that's not really role-playing to me. I mean, I guess it could be, but role-playing to me is you're stepping into somebody else's shoes and putting yourself in a different situation. And in most choose your own adventure books, you're kind of playing yourself and thinking about what you would do, not what your character would do. And you're not interacting with anything or anyone. But this feels a little bit more like a role-playing session because the book is actually like game mastering you, right? It's telling you like what's around you, where you and what you can do and where you can go, and you can really do just about anything. It's actually pretty cool. It could definitely be refined, but I do think that there are game books out there that more closely approximate a role-playing game, but most of them don't, I think.
Well, let me jump in. We got a super chat of $20. So I got to jump in here. Lawdog says, disagree with Max. If you ever watched a child play with their toys, all the elements of role-playing games are there. Roles, randomness, changing plot story. It's just hard for adults to achieve that. We have forgotten how. Again, disagree. And I disagree on the same reason for that. by the way, thank you for the $20. Really do appreciate that. We're getting closer to the giveaway. We're actually closer this week than we've been in like a month. That is very similar to what the 4D folks, just like I told Rick and Mr. Max Boivin and Shauner and Phil the Thrill and whoever else, what they're doing is role-playing, but they're not playing role-playing games. There's a whole gamut here that has to come together to make this happen. And I want to be very clear before we get to the end of the segment, move on to the next one, so we're not harping on this for another 2 hours. I really don't care if somebody calls it solo role-playing game. I'm not going to shake my finger and be, oh, you said solo role-playing game, you're dumb. No, I'm intentionally being this pedantic about it because of the fact of how it's being addressed online and how people are talking about it. Like, solo role-playing game, these are the best things ever, but you're not role-playing. You're playing a completely different style of game. Just as the 4D folks are doing improv acting, you're doing, and I'm if Mr. Max is watching, yes, I'm being hyperbolic on that. You're on the other side, just drawing little maps on a piece of paper and acting like you're somebody else in your head. It's a thought experiment more than anything else. I get everybody saying, I wouldn't be mad if somebody called this solo role playing. I'm only being pedantic for the purpose of this discussion. Other than that, I'm going to call it solo gaming. You call it what you want, and I'm not going to get in any arguments over it. And there's 2 more. Oh, do you guys have anything you want to say about?
I like when you put Low Dog's thing up because I can't see Malachi's face.
That's fair.
Ha ha! Damn it! Dang it!
I'll just leave it up the rest of the day. Okay. I just want to make sure you guys got your say. We had a couple more super chats, and then where was I? Lethality in 5e. I think I covered that one. Of solo adventure a few times, but it's a good way to drive. Okay, did that. Here we go. Jack McCarthy is saying, thanks for hosting this topic, guys. It's fun to be angry about something. Well, if you want to be angry about something, you have come to the right place, sir. we're maybe known for that on occasion. No, it's great to have these differing opinions out there, and I didn't think that I was going to be causing the crux of it, but apparently what I said really drove people nuts, which, you know what? I doubled the length of the segment, so win on me. But thank you for the $5. I do appreciate that. And you know what? We all have different takes. If in chat you agree with me, and this is later on for the video side of things, you see, go ahead and put a comment about how you agree with me. If you disagree with me, hey, go make that comment somewhere else. But let these guys know what you think on what your stance on solo role-playing or solo gaming is. Go ahead, Cody.
I was going to add one thing about the role. I don't want to get far off topic here. We're getting a little off topic talking about what role-playing. I mean, this is like a whole nother show, right? But I will say, I was talking to a friend the other night. We were driving to the game store we weren't playing role-playing games. We were playing something else. But he was asking me about, he hasn't played a lot of role-playing games. He's like, I watch you play role-playing games on YouTube, and I just can't get into like all this here, thou, and all that shit. But I like the aspect of like making a character and doing all this stuff. I'm like, well, you're still playing a role-playing game. Like that's the beautiful thing to me about role-playing games is there is huge interpretation about how you can approach a role-playing game, and there's no wrong or right way to do it. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about it. Like, no, it's not bullshit because everybody plays it. Everybody plays it differently, and I think it's I think it's one of the shining aspects of role-playing games.
I think that's what caused crap that we have now in the hobby, where so many people are me instead of actually.
Let's go back to 1974 when they were first playing role-playing games. Were they playing role-playing games the way you approach them now?
Exactly the same. No, but I've talked with these guys. That's proto role-playing. That's not role-playing. Chainmail and White Box isn't role-playing. That's
okay. Even back in the early 80s when this was called role-playing games, a lot of people were not playing it the way we conceive it now, right?
That's how I was introduced to the hobby. But then again, I was introduced to the hobby, straight guess, because I don't know, I didn't even know what this term was back then, but by somebody who I think either fell intentionally or unintentionally under the Hickman Revolution.
Okay. So even back, like I've talked to a lot of people because I'm interested in the history of role-playing games. And even back then, people were approaching the game differently. I talked to a group that played it back in 1974, and this guy was telling me, "Yeah, we didn't know what we were supposed to do, but we understood the concept of making a character, and we were supposed to go on these adventures. So we just sat around." And he was like, "Yeah, I used to play in my theater troupe, and we used to sit around and drink wine, and we did the same thing you guys do today. make these characters and come up with voices and role play all these situations and stuff. And we didn't hardly roll dice at all. And this is back in 1974.
Yeah, but role playing goes back long before Gygax was ever born and Freud existed and tried to use it. And
what I'm saying
role playing goes back throughout all history.
What I'm saying is role playing games can be approached in so many dimensions, and however you want to do it is fine to me. You might not think so, but I think that's one of the beautiful things about role playing games is you can approach it all kinds of different ways. And I'm not going to say you're doing it wrong. If you want to say
my only quibble is there is a wrong way to do it. I'm not saying you're doing it wrong or this person's doing it wrong. There's a wrong way to do it. There's a spirit and there's a letter of the law in terms of game books, whether it's setting. It's the whole idea of setting, game, players. As long as you're within the spirit of the setting, whether it's your own homebrew setting, which we talked about a couple weeks ago, or the hard-coded written setting, as long as you're playing within the spirit of the game and as much as possible within the letter of the game. Again, I'm for homebrewing, I'm for house ruling and so forth. Then you're doing it fine. It's when people are like, oh, rules don't matter and setting doesn't matter, nothing matters. We just do what we want. Okay, you might be role playing, but you're not playing a role playing game. You're just sitting around having your little. It's like my friends used to do, man. They used to take acid and then they all of a sudden just start going back and forth like they were talking in tongues and so forth. And I wouldn't call that role playing.
Okay, no, that's fine. I mean, like that's again, I think that's what's beautiful about it. We all have different opinions about it. I think there's bad ways to do it, right? But I don't think there's a right way to do it. Move on. We're talking about solo role playing games. Yeah. I think this is good conversation for another night, though.
Oh, we already had it. You missed it.
Oh, damn. Okay. Too bad.
Bear, I know you want to jump in a while ago. You still want to jump in? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm having a blast solo role playing with ChatGPT. I got to say. I'm actually enjoying the heck out of this. This is really fun. It's more of a writing thing than it is a role playing thing, to be honest. But it's fun and it's enjoyable. It's certainly something to get the juices flowing creatively. No dice involved. No nothing else. So I can sort of see a level of it. I don't know what these oracles everybody keeps talking about. I don't know what those are. So if someone wants to explain that,
a whole bunch of tables that tell you like what's happening next, what's happening around you, what the outcome is, and so forth.
That doesn't sound interesting to me at all. But this is a lot of fun. So I'm enjoying the crap out of this.
We'll probably get to the oracles at some point.
Yeah. I mean, we got a whole other. We went from being way too short to now we're going too long. Yeah. So I'm going to get through some of these chats here. But it's good. I'm glad we got super chats. We got the chat. I'm telling you, it's still just going. So we did what we were supposed to do here. So I think it is a good back and forth. For whatever reason, Crafty decided that he wanted to say Max a dirty campaigner. He's an actor. Like, okay, you know what? I think Bear and I mean, even Cody to some degree are more actors in the games than I am, but I might be wrong on that. But that dirty campaigner thing actually comes from our style of role playing. The grognard, the we'll call it the first generation, probably maybe second. I don't know. I'm not that into it. Of gamers who came before us. Because remember, I started in '83, but I really didn't get involved in the hobby until the late '80s. I did more BattleTech and so on and so forth before then because Satanic Panic. But when I first started playing, we did campaigns. And we were called dirty campaigners by the people who were more, we play, basic D&D is my guess. And some old games I don't even remember the names of. They were more beer and pretzel style. So we kept getting, dirty campaigners. Oh, let me guess, you have to have your campaign and your long-term story arc and so forth. I'm like, yeah, that's great. But I don't consider the story arc to be part of role-playing. I just think it's an asset to it, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's why Crafty put that out there. Law Dog had another one. Long story short, Max Hates Children was never a child. Dude, I played with Transformers into my teens, okay? My parents were worried about me.
I'm worried about you now.
It's fair.
I am currently worried about you. Concerned.
Let's see. Doc Fling, member 4 months. Thank you very much. Choose your own adventures. If there are moral decisions, technically yes, but only by technicality. That's like saying that sucked is technically a review. That's fair. That's fair. And whether that was pointed at me because of something I said, or there's something that Cody said earlier that I kind of had that stance as well. It's like, okay, if you want to be really, really, really pedantic about it, Heathen Dog and I talk about this, about role playing, where he says it's bad role playing. That's actually something that Heathen Dog and I disagree on. I will call something bad role playing. If you think I'm antagonistic about this. He'd be like, that's not role playing at all. Well, it's technically role playing because you are playing the role of the character. You just have no character in there. You're doing your thief and you pickpocketed. That is in the most pedantic technical sense role playing. If you have to really get picky about it, nope. I want to agree with them. I just can't. I mean, but that's so I get the point that, you know, sometimes even me, especially me, get a little too pedantic about the terms, but I intentionally did that with this. And I just want to remind folks, if you tell me you play solo role-playing games, I'm not going to get angry with you. I think they're awesome. I just would call it solo gaming, not solo role-playing. And I don't know why that was the triggering mechanism and not some of the other stuff that was said.
Because, Max, your choice of pedantry often can infuriate people.
Yes. Yes. Malachi, I'm going to read this. Oh, actually, I got a super chat for this. Then we're going on to the next segment. Worst reviews are the 1 or 2 star reviews. They don't tell you why the item got that review, or it's because the delivery sucked. Okay, I want to actually comment on this because there are other YouTubers out there. You might know who they are, you might not, who like to say things like, oh, this game sucked, or this group of people suck, or this group of people could do better, or this game could have been better. But then don't say how.
Yeah.
If you know, I had a chief that I worked for when I was in the Air Force who said, you know, there are 2 types of people, those who whine and those who bitch. He said, I hate people who whine, but I will absolutely work with somebody who bitches all the time. So because the person who whine and I'm going to try to use his actions on this. He's a person who whine goes, I don't like it, and just sits in the corner and does nothing. So the person who bitches goes, this sucks, I don't like it, we do nothing, we should be doing things differently, blah, 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 and then goes and fixes it, or at least provide suggestions on how to fix it. Yep. So if you're going to complain about something, there's nothing wrong with complaining about things. Tell people how they should fix it. Otherwise, you're just whining and you're a little bitch, baby. Sorry. Got to stop cussing.
Merles is back on Twitter, and he had a quick initiative suggestion. One of the responses was, well, that hurts people who focus on initiative. And as a response, didn't say why or anything. Just, wow, helpful there. Okay, go ahead.
No. I agree with that. Agree with that sentiment. But at least there's a little rationale there. Instead of just saying that sucked, at least, well, that hurts people who whatever it was you said that focus on initiative. Okay, yeah, it would have been nice to have had more there, but yeah, don't just say that sucks. Say why. You know what? And defend your position. I'm defending my position here, even though it seems like the majority of you guys in chat disagree with me. That's fine, you know. And I disagree with you, but your position is still tenable.
That's how you have a conversation. The other thing I would add to that is actions speak louder than words, especially in role-playing games. If you want to show people what you think is the best role-playing, do it, right? Which you do. I'm not saying anybody here doesn't, but I see a lot of people just talking shit, saying this is the way to do it, or that's the way to do it, or blah, 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 blah. But I don't see anything out of them, right? And to me, like, I don't do a lot of this. I do a lot of actually doing it. And to me, that speaks a lot more. Showing somebody how to do something, or how to be, setting an example, I think is a better way to do it than talking about it's great. Like, there's nothing wrong with talking about it, but actions to me always speak louder than words.
Well, it's one of the reasons why on these panels, to the best of our ability, I like people to give answers in the form of what you do, how you do it, why you do it, or what you did, how you did it, what was the result. By the way, that's how I was taught to write evals in the Air Force, and it just works for this, because that way people might not. Sorry, Cody, I'm not going to watch your 3-hour live play, but maybe you can give a 5-minute, 2-minute or 5-minute description here of how it came out, and boom, now people are like, oh, maybe I will try that. Like, nah, that sounds fishy to me. Whatever. So one more super chat, like I said, and then I'll give these guys a final word before I do my little blurb and move on to the next video. Max, you can be young only once, but immature forever. That's me. You knocked it out of the park. Just saying. Also, I have adult money now and collect Transformers. I'm 49. I was required to sell all of mine in 2002 because I was unemployed, broke, and debating going to prison. So I had to sell my Transformers in order to pay rent. And to this day, I am still quite angry. And I saved one Transformer. One of the old, you had to send in the little tech specs points, that whatever it was, send it in, Megatron. And when I got out of the Air Force, I found out that my brother, now don't get me wrong, he was a child when he did it, but my brother lost and broke most of them.
Poor Megatron.
I still have the original box he came in. Not like the thing where you got it in the store, but the cardboard box from Hasbro itself. Yeah, so, and no full Megatron. But anywho.
I had Megatron, the gun.
Yeah, when Megatron was really Megatron. All right, let's get back on topic here. We went from being going too quickly to now being
really behind.
Talking about Max's childhood trauma.
Talking about my childhood, and now you know
Wow,
why.
don't we normally save the Max therapy for the after show?
Well, I needed better therapy. Where's my, here we go. Hey, do you want to join? If you think you have some presence and charisma, the ability to educate and entertain, a good AV setup free from noise pollution, and an interest in discussing tabletop RPGs in this, well, similar format. It's going to change a little bit in 2025. Not much, but just a little bit. Well, then join the Some Rando RPG live stream Discord. And if you're like, I can't find it, that link goes to a different Discord. That's because I've changed the name of it, or I will in 2025. So you can find the link in the description and stay tuned for future topics. Help us get to know you, and maybe we'll get you on a show to talk about your experiences. If you enjoy this discussion, please like this video, subscribe to all of the panelists' channel. Apparently Cody, so you can go watch his channel on how to play Quest or Fabled Lands. I don't know what he called it there, but go subscribe to that, and you can see how to play a solo RPG, and you can find all of that in the description.